Win the first hour of your day has a unique kind of power because it is one of the few moments when you can consciously decide where your attention goes before the outside world starts competing for it. Think about how often you wake up and immediately reach for your phone. Before your feet even touch the floor, you may already be looking at messages, notifications, news, emails, social media, or other people's opinions. In just a few minutes, your mind has moved from a peaceful state into a reactive one. Someone else has decided what you should look at, what you should think about, and sometimes even how you should feel. That is why winning the first hour isn't really about waking up at a specific time. It is about taking ownership of your attention before the world takes ownership of it for you. When you wake up early and give yourself even 30 or 60 minutes without unnecessary distractions, you create something incredibly valuable: space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to decide, space to prepare. Most people spend their mornings responding. They wake up and immediately ask, what do I need to answer? What does someone need from me? What happened overnight? What am I missing? A more intentional morning begins with a different question. What matters today? That one question can change the way you approach the entire day because it shifts you from reaction to direction. Imagine starting your morning with a quiet room, a glass of water, a few minutes of movement, and a clear understanding of what you want to accomplish. Nothing dramatic has happened yet. You haven't achieved a major goal. You haven't made a life-changing decision. But something important has already happened. You have established control over your attention. Instead of beginning your day by consuming information, you begin by creating intention. That difference may seem small, but repeated every morning, it can influence your habits, your decisions, and your sense of self. Your first hour doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, trying to create an elaborate morning routine can sometimes become another form of procrastination. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m., meditate for an hour, exercise for 90 minutes, read 50 pages, journal for 30 minutes, and plan your entire life before breakfast. If that works for you, wonderful. But the purpose is not to create an impressive routine that looks good on social media. The purpose is to create a reliable beginning that helps you become more focused and present. Start small. Wake up at a consistent time. Get out of bed instead of repeatedly pressing the snooze button. Drink some water. Open the curtains. Let natural light into the room. Move your body for a few minutes. Take a moment to breathe. Think about the most important responsibility you have that day. These actions may appear ordinary, but ordinary actions become powerful when they are repeated consistently. There is also something psychological about keeping the first promise you make to yourself each morning. When your alarm rings, you have a choice. You can tell yourself that you will get up, and then you can get up. Or you can repeatedly negotiate with yourself and delay the decision. The issue isn't that 10 extra minutes will destroy your day. The deeper issue is the pattern you are reinforcing. Every time you follow through on a commitment you made to yourself, you create evidence that you are capable of trusting yourself. Every time you consistently break those commitments, you weaken that trust. Confidence is not only created through accomplishments that other people can see. It is also created through private agreements you keep with yourself. Nobody may know that you woke up when you said you would. Nobody may congratulate you for spending 20 minutes planning your day. Nobody may applaud you for putting your phone away. But you know, and that knowledge matters. You begin to develop a quiet belief that says, when I decide something matters, I can act on it. The first hour can also protect you from unnecessary comparison. Social media has made it incredibly easy to begin the day looking at other people's lives. You see someone's success, someone's vacation, someone's relationship, someone's body, someone's business, someone's house, or someone's achievements before you've even had breakfast. Without realizing it, you can start measuring your life against carefully selected moments from someone else's life. Suddenly, your morning begins with comparison instead of gratitude and pressure instead of purpose. Imagine the difference between starting your day by asking, what is everyone else doing? And starting it by asking, what can I do today that moves my life forward? The first question pulls your attention outward. The second brings it back to you. You don't need to ignore the world. You simply need to avoid allowing the world to become your first priority every morning. Winning the first hour also means identifying what deserves your energy. Not everything that feels urgent is important. Not every notification deserves an immediate response. Not every problem needs to be solved the moment you wake up. Some things can wait. Your attention is limited, and where you place it determines what receives your mental energy. If you give your best attention to distractions in the morning, you may have less mental clarity available for the things that genuinely matter. Use the first hour to establish your priorities before other people establish them for you. Ask yourself what one or two things would make today meaningful. Maybe it is completing an important project. Maybe it is spending quality time with your family. Maybe it is exercising. Maybe it is studying. Maybe it is having an uncomfortable conversation you have been avoiding. Whatever it is, identify it before the noise begins. This doesn't mean every day will go according to plan. Life will interrupt you. Unexpected problems will appear. People will need you. Some mornings will be difficult. You may sleep badly. You may wake up without motivation. You may have responsibilities that make your routine impossible. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is direction. If you can begin most days with intention rather than reaction, you give yourself a better chance of making deliberate choices throughout the day, and those choices accumulate. One focused morning doesn't transform your life. One disciplined decision doesn't transform your identity. But hundreds of small decisions made consistently can change the trajectory of your life. So protect your first hour. Don't give it away automatically. Give yourself permission to begin slowly. Give your mind a chance to wake up before filling it with information. Give your body movement. Give your goals attention. Give your priorities a place at the beginning of the day, because every morning gives you another opportunity to practice ownership. You don't have to control everything that happens during the day. You can't control other people's behavior, unexpected circumstances, or every challenge that comes your way. But you can influence how you begin. And sometimes, changing the beginning is enough to change everything that follows. Waking up early has very little value if you wake up without knowing why you are getting out of bed. The real transformation begins when you stop treating the morning as something that simply happens to you and start treating it as an opportunity to make a deliberate choice about how you want to live the day. There is a difference between opening your eyes because an alarm forces you to and opening your eyes with a sense of purpose. One is reaction. The other is intention. And the way you repeatedly begin your mornings can influence the way you approach challenges, responsibilities, relationships, and opportunities throughout the rest of your day. Most people don't realize how quickly the mind becomes occupied after waking. Before you have even stood up, thoughts about work, money, responsibilities, unfinished tasks, conversations, problems, and expectations can start racing through your head. Then the phone becomes the next source of stimulation. You check one message, then another. You look at social media. You read something that makes you angry. You see someone else's success and begin comparing yourself. You hear about a problem happening somewhere in the world. Suddenly, your mind is carrying dozens of things that have nothing to do with what you actually need to accomplish that morning. Your day has started, but you haven't consciously chosen its direction. Waking up with intention means creating a small pause between waking and reacting. Instead of immediately asking what the world wants from you, ask yourself what you want from yourself today. What kind of person do you want to be? What deserves your attention? What is one thing you need to accomplish? What attitude do you want to carry into your conversations? What behavior would make you proud of yourself tonight when you look back on the day? These questions are powerful because they force you to move from automatic behavior to conscious behavior. You begin to recognize that you are not simply a person who responds to circumstances. You are a person who can make choices within those circumstances. You may not control everything that happens today, but you can control the way you prepare to meet it. There is a reason athletes prepare before competition. Professionals prepare before important meetings, and performers prepare before stepping onto a stage. Preparation creates readiness. Your morning can serve the same purpose. You are preparing your mind before entering the demands of the day. You are telling yourself, I know what matters. I know where my attention needs to go. I am not going to let every distraction determine my direction. This doesn't require a complicated routine. Intention can be incredibly simple. You might wake up, sit quietly for a few minutes, drink water, stretch, and think about your priorities. You might write down 3 things you want to accomplish. You might read something that strengthens your thinking. You might spend a few minutes outside. You might simply take several deep breaths and remind yourself that you have another day in front of you. The important part is not the specific activity. The important part is that you are choosing it instead of automatically surrendering your attention to whatever appears on your screen. When you wake up with intention, you also begin to understand the difference between urgency and importance. Your phone may tell you that a message has arrived, but that doesn't mean the message deserves your immediate attention. An email may be waiting, but it doesn't mean it should become your first thought of the day. Someone else's emergency may be important, but it doesn't mean you need to abandon your own priorities before you've even established them. Learning to pause before responding is a form of personal leadership. You are not ignoring responsibility. You are creating the mental space to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. There will be mornings when intention feels easy. You will wake up energized, motivated, and ready to move. But the real test comes on the mornings when you don't feel like doing anything. Maybe you slept poorly. Maybe you're worried about something. Maybe yesterday was difficult. Maybe you have a long list of responsibilities waiting for you. Those are the mornings when your actions become especially meaningful. If you only act with intention when you feel motivated, then motivation is still controlling you. Real intention means deciding what matters before your emotions get to make the decision for you. You don't need to feel excited to get started. You need to remember why starting matters. This is one of the reasons waking early can become a powerful practice. When you wake before the demands of the day become overwhelming, you create a period where you can act before reacting. You get to establish your internal state before dealing with external pressure. That doesn't guarantee that the day will be easy. It simply means you enter the day prepared rather than surprised. Your morning can also become a place where you reconnect with your long-term goals. During the day, immediate responsibilities can make you forget what you are working toward. You may spend hours answering messages, attending meetings, completing tasks, solving problems, and helping other people. At the end of the day, you may realize that you were busy, but didn't move closer to the things that matter most to you. A purposeful morning gives you a chance to remember the bigger picture. Ask yourself whether the things you are doing today are connected to the person you want to become. If your goal is to become healthier, what action can you take today? If you want to become more knowledgeable, what can you learn? If you want stronger relationships, who deserves your attention? If you want greater financial stability, what responsible decision can you make? You don't need to solve your entire future before breakfast. You simply need to identify the next meaningful step. Intention also changes how you interpret obstacles. When you begin the day expecting everything to go perfectly, even a small problem can feel like a disaster. But when you begin with the understanding that challenges are part of life, you become less surprised by them. You can say, this wasn't part of the plan, but I can still choose how I respond. That mindset creates resilience. You stop believing that a difficult morning means a ruined day. You stop believing that one mistake means you have failed completely. You understand that you can reset at any moment. And that's perhaps the most important part of waking up with intention. You are practicing the ability to choose again. Every morning is a fresh opportunity to decide what deserves your energy. You don't have to repeat yesterday's mistakes. You don't have to carry yesterday's distractions into today. You don't have to let someone else's priorities define your entire schedule. You can pause, breathe, think, and choose. The goal is not to control every minute of your life. The goal is to become more conscious of the minutes you are living. So when you wake tomorrow, resist the urge to immediately give your attention away. Sit up, take a breath, let your mind become clear, remember what matters, decide how you want to show up. Then take the first step. Because a meaningful day rarely begins when everything becomes perfect. It begins when you become intentional about what you do with the imperfect day you have been given.